Okay. So number 7, Nick, and we're going to go into this one. Don't shy away from opposition.
Yeah,
So what do you think we mean by that?
This kind of like balances out almost what we were kind of just talking about is it's easy to surround yourself with people that are like-minded. Yeah, exactly. And do provide quality to your life. But don't be so like narrow-minded or close-minded to things that you completely shut out like an opposite view. Because I think, what is the saying? Hopefully you can help me out with this. Like, ignorance is no excuse. Like that kind of deal.
That's the case in the law for sure. Like in the law, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law.
Well, here I am, Judge Nick.
Yeah, so there you go, Judge Nick.
But yeah, so like just because you don't agree with something, I don't think it's right. Nor will it lead to like happy endings for you to just completely shut things down, and like shun them from your life. Just because somebody has an opposite view of yours doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you can't be like around somebody like that, and especially that you have to be derogatory towards like a said person or situation. I think it's good to kind of open your mind and see different aspects. You don't always have to agree. Like we've had instances right here on the podcast where we haven't totally been 100% on topics, but to be able to just talk about things and respect each other's opinions, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, and I just can't stop laughing because you said the word turd.
Yeah, I heard myself say turd. It's so funny, bro, because I call people turds all the time. That's like my, like, I kind of like poke fun at people. I'm like, man, that turd. And it came out of my mouth, and I had to do so hard to stay serious, and I could see you kind of like giggling over there, and I was like, shit, man, it's got to be because I said turd.
Podcast. So yeah, I'm way too immature for this podcast. So it's all good. It's all good. When you said it, I was like giggling in my own head. I have like 12
words are hard. Turds are hard.
Turds are hard. Oh my God. Okay. So, we were talking about, which one were we on? Because now I got so sidetracked.
The opposite view.
Okay. The opposite view. Yes. So kind of like turds. They can be opposites, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, all right. Opposite view. Okay. Opposite view is really important because a lot of people, I think, and we've talked about this in other episodes, being in ideological echo chamber.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is something that happens, especially in politics, I'd say. For me, like I said, I don't follow politics very closely. So that's something, but I have seen it because social media has become such a big part of our lives, and we like to surround ourselves with like-minded people, right? That's something that even we promote. Yep. But there is a line to that. Sure. There is a limit to that where, you need to, I think, expand your horizons and not limit yourself to one view, because then that's the only view you know.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you see something else, it might anger you. It might upset you because you don't understand it and you don't think it makes sense to you because you don't see it ever. Right.
Yeah.
And it's differing than your own. So I think this, I think, and you and I, we don't view everything the same way.
Nope.
And I think that's why I have friends like that. Like I have one friend actually who I'll mention. I won't give his name out necessarily unless he wants me to, but he is a very hardcore Christian, right?
Sure.
And I'm not very religious.
Sure.
So I don't know where I sit on that, but we won't go too deep on that, but I'm somewhere in between, right?
Sure.
So, but he is very religious, but he and I have been really good friends for a long time, since college, right? And he is one of my best friends. He's probably one of the most genuine, nice, kind-hearted people I know, right? But we differ very dramatically in how we view the world because of his religious beliefs and my somewhere in between. So, but I think, I've never shied away from that. He hasn't either. We've always been really good friends. We've talked about the religious stuff pretty intently, actually. Never had an argument about it. He was very nice, very respectful. We talked about it. He explained his side. I explained my side. And I ask him questions about stuff like religious stuff all the time. He's like my expert because he works in and he knows it so well. So, and those are the kind of things, like having friends like that have a different worldview than you. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and honestly, what that made me think of is just kind of like seeking to understand why somebody else feels that way or thinks that way.
Yeah.
Can kind of help the situation out. So although you may not agree with somebody's stance, you might not agree on like how they view something, but if you can understand why they got to that, and you're able to have a cool, calm, collected conversation with somebody about it, I think that's cool. You know what I mean? It can save you from just like being upset, like, oh, they think this, and it's like that's all you see about them is they, in this example, are super religious. You're like, why would you be that way?
Right.
But if you can talk to somebody and you can kind of understand where they come from and why they feel that way, I think it's a nice way to still say, hey, agree to disagree, and whatever that might be, but you can still be friends at the end of the day, having differing opinions.
And this happens in the opposite direction on social media a lot. Feel free to engage in, conversation, rational, calm conversation about, your disagreements on topics, and feel free to make it, I think it's really important to make it rational and reasonable. So like you can have a dialogue. And this has kind of been lost to an extent,
Definitely.
in a way, in social media especially. It's either, for any topic, whatever the case, whatever the topic may be, it's two sides, maybe more. But here's a line in the sand, here's one side, and there's no dialogue between the two, right? So and that's always ends up poorly because there's no chance to understand the other side. But I think, one example I can give to wrap up this topic is on YouTube, I get a lot of, I get mean comments with people who disagree with me on topics, right? Some people will be like, your view of this movie is terrible. You are stupid. You don't understand it. You know what I mean? You clearly went over your head, stuff like that. But if people give me, and those comments I ignore because they're not really looking for an honest dialogue, right? They're looking to just attack me. So, but if someone says, hey, like, well, I think you might be missing this, but I'd like the review, and they don't have to compliment me. If they're nice and friendly about it, I'll engage with them.
Sure.
I'll be like, okay, like I understand. I kind of thought this because of this, but I respect that. And it's always been cool and respectful. But if people just attack me, I ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to have a healthy debate.
Right. You can tell the intentions right away.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's cool to debate with, positive intentions, once again, seeking to understand. But when you're just like blindly arguing a point, that's where, it's better to just avoid to save yourself the getting worked up over it.